invite you now to whatever your intention is. If you haven't written it down already, I would invite you to write it down and let that guide you for the rest of whether it be this hour, especially, and also this season, maybe into the next year. But I love doing this because it adds an extra layer of connection and lets us know like we're in the energy of not only our transformation and our growth, but also witnessing each other's growth and each other's transformation and each other's power. And that's like my favorite thing ever. And I want you to know that over the next hour, no matter what your intention was, you truly have one job and one job only, and that is to receive. Just to receive. So show up here now for this bit of time as you are. Just meet yourself here in this experience now, knowing that you have nothing else to do. Just be here and allow yourself to receive this energy that we're co-creating together. And the best way to be open to receiving is to drop in a bit and become even more present. So let's take a breath together. So go ahead and close your eyes. Settle in. You can have your hands on your lap. I would offer having your palms up. It's just a sign of receiving. If you're feeling like you want to be a bit more internal, you can have your hands down on your lap. But just let go of everything that happened before this call, let go of any expectations you have for this call, for this workshop, let go of anything you have to do after it, and just be here now. Feel into your intention. Knowing you have nowhere to be, but right here. Allowing for some gratitude in that. You're here for a reason. No matter how you got here, whether it was me personally inviting you or you randomly saw a link, it's not random, you're here for a reason. And you said yes to yourself. You said yes to being here. You said yes to your growth and to your expansion. How does that feel? Knowing that you're also in space with other people who said yes, and that energy is powerful. So feel that energy. And take a few breaths in it. Give yourself some love, whether that be giving yourself a hug, rubbing on your legs a little bit, putting your hands on your heart, signaling to your body that this is safe and you're meant to be here. And then we'll take 3 breaths together. Go ahead and inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And one more. Inhaling fully. And exhale, letting it all out and opening your eyes. Welcome back. Are you guys feeling it? Like, are you in it? Are you guys feeling the vibes I'm feeling? Okay. So over the next hour, definitely drop in the chat if anything comes up for you. I want to hear all about it. But also know that I'm not going to be monitoring that too closely, and there will be a time to connect more at the end. But this is also going to be interactive. So if anything is like really calling to you and you want to pop yourself off mute, feel free. The next bit of time, I'm going to share with you a pathway that I use myself, that I teach, that I believe in. It's to deepen your self-trust using both intuition, but also structure. So it's intuitive, but it's also a formula. Because I truly, truly believe that self-trust is the single most important thing that we can have in our lives. Without self-trust, nothing matters. Truly, because you're not going to manifest a trip to Bali. You're not going to journal your way to, your perfect career without having self-trust, because self-trust allows you to take action, to take aligned action. So I want to back up a little bit and talk about, before we dive into this too much, I want to talk about why I chose to do this workshop today and why I'm just on one. So today is a massive astrological day of alignment. It's when Jupiter and Saturn are real intimate. They're super close, closer than they've been in hundreds of years. So if you're seeing like this conjunction word in your space, that's what it's referring to. It's rare. It's super rare, and it's bringing us into the age of Aquarius, literally. It's also the winter solstice. So it's the first day of winter, which is the longest night of the year. And it's the first day of Capricorn season. And for me, that's especially potent because I have 4 planets in Capricorn, if that means literally anything to you. And also my 10th house is in Capricorn, which pertains to career. So the stars were literally aligned to do this. And when I, knew about this conjunction and this like insane synergy, I was like, yes, I'm obviously doing a workshop. This is going to be so much fun. So if this day means anything to you in particular, it's also my Saturn return, if you guys know what that means. Like today marks my Saturn return, which is wild. So if you guys know of anything specifically happening in your chart or in the cosmos, if you're like, girl, I don't even know what language you're speaking right now, let me know in the chat. I want to kind of gauge like where we're at, what we're feeling. If you guys are like, yes, I am a Capricorn, I am ready. If you're like, are you speaking English anymore? I don't know. Just let me know in the chat. But regardless, the point of all of this is that it's a time to lean on community. It's a time of expansion. It's a time to take responsibility for yourself. It's a time to live with integrity. It's a time to be the hero of your story, truly, to take that responsibility and step into the driver's seat and to possibly initiate something meaningful that you're ready to dive into, not only today, not only in 2021 in the next year, but maybe for the next few years. And that's because Jupiter, without getting too into this, because as I'm reading the chat, I'm seeing you guys be like, kind of, not really, kind of, which is great. Perfect. I'm in my Saturn return. Yes. Okay. So Jupiter, really, just like to have a baseline, Jupiter is about optimism. It's about expansion. It's about healing. It's about growth. Saturn is about responsibility, and it's about long-term lessons. It's about looking at the past to learn from it. So these 2 planets now meeting in Aquarius for the first time in our lifetime is this culmination of both intellect and intuition and communication and idealism and growth and expansion and like diving deep into what we need so we can set ourselves up for success, like I said, for the next few years. So we're going to use this energy. Yes, I love these fellow Saturn returners. So we're going to use this energy today, this amazing, powerful energy, to get really intentional. Get really intentional about what we want to create, what we want to change, how we want to grow, how we want to heal, what we want to learn, how we can live with more integrity. But first, we have to go within. So most of your day right up to this point was probably operated from like your head up. it was probably like strategic and analytical. Maybe you're working at your job. Maybe you've been sitting at a desk and you've just been like in one place all day. Like I have pretty much. I want you to shift out of that. We're going to shift into your body. We're going to get spherical, as I like to say. So let's go there. Are you guys down? You guys picking up what I'm putting down to get into our bodies a little bit? This is where the magic happens. This is where the fun shit happens. So get comfortable. Yes, good. Glad Michelle's on board. Get comfortable. We're going to get into it. Go ahead and close your eyes.
How you gonna get free this time?
Know that nobody's watching you. I'm not watching you. Nobody's watching you. I want you to go in and just flow. No expectations. Just move.
Showing me what I need to see. Rain is falling into my mouth.
Get up if you want to.
Flowers blooming all up and down.
Shake it out. Shake out your wrists, your feet.
In and through the body. It's in and through the body. All along. In and through the body. All along. It's in and through the body. All along. In and through the body. All along. It's in and through the body. All along. In and through the body. All along. It's in and through the body.
Feel into it. Move with it. Let go and let in. Allow your intuition to lead you, to move you. Do what feels good.
Fool for that shake in your thumbs. I'm a fool.
I promise no one's watching you.
I'm a fool for your belly.
Allow your movement to get bigger. Take up space.
I'm a fool for your love. I wanna make this place. Oh, I know you're fading. But stay, don't close your hands. I wanna make this place. Oh, I know you're fading.
Breathe into it.
But stay, don't close your hands. Caught in this pool, held in your arms. Caught like a fool.
The only thing that's guiding you is your innate trust in yourself. So flow with your heart, with your soul. Be free, be
This gentle
wild.
sting between us. I wanna make this place. Oh, I know you're fading. But stay, don't close your hands. I wanna make this place. Oh, I know you're fading. But stay, don't close your hands.
Letting it get bigger,
Stay.
brighter. Feel into it. Get weird with it.
I wanna make this place. Oh, I know you're fading. But stay, don't close your eyes. I wanna make this place. Oh, I
on your body, anywhere that feels good. Taking a few breaths here, just completely on your own, in any way that feels good. Maybe sighing it out, letting it be as audible, as primal, as wild as you want it to. Letting it go. And eventually opening your eyes. I want you to, from this place, get your notebook out and just go ahead and jot down, draw, sketch, get out whatever came up for you in that time. There's, again, there's no right or wrong. Just let it out. Whatever it is, only you know what it is. Let it out. Go ahead and if you want to use markers, if you want to use, I don't know, get into it for a few minutes, just let it out. Take about 30 more seconds. Get out whatever you want to get out. I'm not going to ask you to share it. This is totally for you. Just let it be weird if you want it to be weird. Okay, amazing. So you just accessed really your most authentic self. We're just pretty close to it. If you really leaned in and were able to get into your body, like I said, so much of our day is spent from the neck up. And sometimes we just need to let it go. We need to get up. We need to move. We need to be free. We need to get into our body. And seeing what comes from that place, I find fascinating. It can be so, so interesting. If anyone wants to share what came up for them and whether they want to share what they expressed on paper, or if, you know, how this was attached to their intention, or maybe it wasn't at all, maybe something different came up. But if anyone wants to share anything that came up, if you found it especially powerful or especially interesting, then you can go ahead and unmute yourself and share with us. Like I said, you don't have to show us, but if you want to share with us, that could be really cool. Oftentimes there's common themes, so I'm interested to see. You can also share in the chat if you'd like. Okay, we'll keep it moving. So, Jack said, I asked for next step. Talk to Michelle. Okay, Michelle. Oh, okay. I love it. Okay. So I saw this quote by Glennon Doyle, and many of you are probably familiar with Glennon Doyle. I'm obsessed with her. I read her book twice. It was aligned with my intention for sure. Amazing. Good. I'm glad. So Glennon said, we weren't born distrusting and fearing ourselves. That was part of our taming. We were taught to believe that who we are in our natural state is bad and is dangerous. And I as women, especially, I think this is true. We're taught to quiet and we're taught to conform and we're taught to not let our freak flag fly, right? And, we have to unlearn is what it comes down to. We have to unlearn. We have to get back to this place of embodiment and of truth and of authenticity and of like weirdness and of maybe some primal instinct and intuition. And that's how we access self-trust. That's how we get there, by connecting our mind and our body and by connecting our thoughts and our behaviors. So I want to hear from you guys before we get into this. Where do you guys feel like your self-trust is right now on average? Like not right in this moment, but on any given day. If you were to rate it 1 to 5, how strong is your self-trust? So 5 is like, oh my God, rock solid, and 1 is not so much. Go ahead and write it in the chat where you feel like your self-trust is. Solid 3. Okay, yeah. Oh, Laura, I want you to define it. I'll get into it, but I want you to define it right now. Depends on the situation. 3.5, 2 to 3. Oh, either a 1 or a 5. 3 to 4, 2, 4. Okay, cool. Perfect. Well, you're in the right place no matter what number you're saying, because we can all, mine's all over the place. Yeah, totally. I feel that. Okay. Yeah. So if you're feeling like your self-trust, you're like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know how to access it. Sometimes it's cloudy. Sometimes it feels like anxiety. Sometimes it feels like noise. That's perfect. You're in the right place. My self-trust for a long time was at a hard 1. Like it was maybe even at a 0, because I didn't even know what self-trust meant. I didn't know what feeling connected to my intuition felt like. I was told when I had gut feelings, they were probably wrong, literally told that. I was always really strong-willed and really rebellious, and I had this Capricorn energy, but my mind and my body connection got cloudy. I ended up giving myself multiple eating disorders. I had fucked up romantic relationships. I had repressed emotions. I was super guarded, extremely guarded. I had these walls up that I wasn't letting anyone access. And I was ruled by fear. Fear was my guide, not my intuition. But I was able to take that 0 really, to a 5. To full self-trust. And I mean that on a daily basis. It's not really like some days are a 2 and some days are a 4. Like it's a solid 5 on the regular, which means to me unconditional self-love, which means true forgiveness in myself. And that means truly forgiving others too. It means being open and being vulnerable and showing up here with like not giving a shit that my nails are chipped, or like, that I'm in sweatpants and a blanket. It means being authentic, having a really strong intuition and embodying my authenticity. And the difference there is being guided by trust and being guided by love rather than fear, which is really powerful, really powerful. Because as we get older, we get further and further and further from ourselves. Like if you think back to when you were a kid, your self-trust might have been like a 5 or 4 or 5 on the regular. But as an adult, it gets quieted and diminished, and we're not taught how to keep it strong. We're taught to quiet it. We're taught to conform. We're taught to phone a friend for advice. We're taught to not, dance, truly. So we become a shadow of ourselves, and our true, natural, beautiful light gets dimmed. And that's what we need to relearn. And that's also why I call this whole thing coming home to yourself, because it's there. We just need to come back home to it. And truly, self-trust and self-love are synonymous, because you can't have love without trust, and you can't have trust without love. We need to root back, like I said, instead of being guided by fear, we need to be guided by love for ourselves and then for others. And when you have a relationship built on love and you have a relationship built on trust, you know that you have your own back. And it doesn't become this wavering thing where some days it's up and some days it's not. You know that you have your own back on the regular. You can stop seeking external validation. You can stop, asking people for advice. You're able to tune out the noise and shut it off, knowing that your loyalty is with you and your inner voice, and you trust it, and you know that it's guiding you to your aligned path is what it comes down to. So I'm going to share with you how to get there. I'm going to share with you some really practical, accessible ways, because that's my jam. This is not about like howling at the moon. I'm going to give you strategy, practical ways to build self-trust, to listen to the voice that's inside of you, to discern between anxiety and truth, and to make decisions and take actions that are aligned with you, what you need, because what Wendy needs and what Jamie needs are two completely separate things. So I want what you need to be decided by you and acted on by you. That's the goal. You guys feel me? You with me? Yeah, down for the get down. Okay. So step 1, and I'm going to give you steps. So if you want to write them down, this is step 1. Step 1 comes down to cognitive reprogramming paired with mindfulness. This one's really powerful right off the bat, but it's also extremely accessible. Step 1 is getting quiet with yourself, sitting down, getting in front of a mirror, and expressing gratitude and love for yourself by inhaling and exhaling 10 breaths. Inhaling, I love you. Exhaling, thank you. So literally what it looks like is you standing in front of the mirror, looking yourself in the eye, which is uncomfortable AF, because we don't do that unless we're like drunk in the mirror at the bar and you're like, whoa, hey girl. But how often do we look ourselves in the eye, like on a regular basis? You need to be able to look yourself in the eye and see your power. So maybe the first few times it's uncomfortable, but it's going to guide you in the right place. It's going to be able to let you really see yourself and know that it's safe. So like I said, what it's going to look like is you being in front of the mirror. Maybe your hands are on your heart. That's how I like to do it. And inhaling, looking yourself in the eye and saying, I love you. Exhaling, thank you. I love you. Thank you. 10 breaths. Seems easy, right? It's like what? That could take 1 minute. So that's step 1. This is literally reprogramming your brain to know that your mind and your body connection is safe, to know that you are able to see yourself, look yourself in the eye, know that you are there, know that you are whole, know that you are bringing in love, and you're exhaling gratitude. So by doing this every day and bringing love into your body in this way, looking yourself in the eye, like, oh my God, it sounds easy, but it also sounds powerful. And it is. It's something that I do. And it is profound. And this is the kind of thing that takes repetition. Most of the things that I'm going to share with you are things that take repetition. And so something like this, of course, you're gonna benefit from doing it every day. We'll talk more about the repetition piece, but yes, you'll benefit from doing it every day. Do you need to do this every single day? No. Let your intuition guide you to how often you really need to do it. But it takes, like I said, it takes a minute. So it is something that is doable. Okay, so that's step 1. Inhaling love, exhaling gratitude, looking yourself in the eye. Okay? Are you ready for step 2? Are we ready? Let me know. You guys got step 1 down. Okay. So step 2 is forgive and flow, I like to call it. Forgive and flow. So I mentioned earlier that part of having unconditional self-love, which we're fostering through step 1, I mentioned it also means forgiving ourselves. And if we can't forgive ourselves, we certainly can't forgive other people. So we need to be able to forgive ourselves and that's part of meeting ourselves where we're at. If we're holding on to something, there's a ceiling. There's only so far we can go. We need to be able to forgive and flow. Just like, if something happened in a personal relationship, you're not going to just be able to move on from something unless you've forgiven that other person. That's how you rebuild trust. You know, if someone didn't keep their word and it hurt you, to be able to trust them again, you need to forgive them. Otherwise, there's going to be a cap on how much trust there can really be and how deep the relationship can really be. So without forgiveness of yourself, your self-trust will only go so far, like any other relationship. So how we forgive and flow is by writing a letter to yourself and saying, I forgive myself for, and finishing it. And this can be scary. Maybe there's some like real dark shit you have to forgive yourself for. That's okay. Even better, honestly. And maybe there are small things, like maybe there's ways that you hold yourself back in work. Maybe there's like, you know, promises you've made yourself that are small that you want to forgive yourself for not doing. Like it can be as big or as little as you feel called to write, but write it out. And then the flow part of this, after you write this letter to yourself, I forgive myself for, burn it. Set fire to this letter, burn it, take it to the top of a mountain, go to the top of Runyon with it, set fire to it, let it go. You have to be able to release this. Just like you would, like I said, with any other relationship, you have to release it. You have to let it go to move forward. And knowing that it's gone, that you've forgiven yourself. Make it as ceremonial as you want to. Say a prayer, light some Palo Santo, but burn it and let it go. Love this exercise. Yay. Okay. So we have 1 and we have 2. Step 3, we already had a taste of. Step 3 is getting into your body. We have to connect our mind and our body. We have to let them know that they are friends. They're allies in our lives. They are not enemies, although they sometimes feel like enemies and they sometimes feel disconnected, right? We have to let them know that it's okay, girls, be friends. So we do this by getting into our body like we did earlier. Whether that be through dance, whether it be through yoga, some kind of movement is especially powerful. We need to take action. There needs to be motion, freedom and expression and unblocking. We have to activate both our analytical, masculine, practical, strategic energy with our feminine, slow, cozy, sacral energy. We have to awaken all parts of you. You can't, you know, be working on our mind and on our body. We can't neglect. And I can go on and on and on. I could do a whole workshop about, you know, integrating the self and accepting all parts of you. But having this movement is an especially important piece of letting you know it's okay to express myself. So it could be dancing to music like a wild woman. It could be singing at the top of your lungs. It could be screaming and shouting. It could be, I want it to be powerful, a powerful release in your body. Does that make sense? You with me? Are there any of these that are feeling particularly exciting to you or particularly uncomfortable? I'm curious. I have my certain ones of this pathway that I feel like are really uncomfortable and ones that I'm like, oh yeah, that's easy. Oh, the letter 1, yeah. Okay, writing helps for sure. So step 4, this is the last step. Yeah, the mirror one. Shouting out loud. It's definitely uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay. And it's interesting which one is particularly uncomfortable for you. It probably tells you a lot, and it's probably the one that you need to do the most. So step 4 is committing and changing your behavior. So my background is in behavior, but I think that behavior is completely irrelevant without connecting to your intuition. So without bridging your mind and your body and your thoughts and your behaviors, they have to be cohesive. And the last part is the outward action, right? We've gone in, now we have to go out. So step 4 is commit and change behavior. So make a commitment to yourself. Make a promise. Build the foundation of your home. You have to make a promise to yourself, but the caveat, you have to keep it. You have to make a vow to yourself, because a vow to yourself is sacred. It's more sacred than anyone else ever making a vow to you. Anyone else ever promising you something. It's more important. And I'm talking, this could be something really small. In fact, I would offer you to make it the smallest possible thing to make sure that it gets done. So at first, when we're rebuilding this self-trust, when we're starting to like strengthen this chain, I think about it, we want to meet ourselves where we're at instead of, thinking some lofty thing like, I promise I'm going to quit my job. No, how about like, I promise I'll make my bed tomorrow. Meet yourself where you're at. I promise to drink water before I have my coffee tomorrow. I promise to read my book before bed, at least a little bit. Make a promise that is measurable, that you can say, yes, I absolutely did this. So not a promise like I promise to be nicer to my sister. It's hard to measure. I want this to be something you can say, yes, I absolutely kept this promise to myself. Because would you trust someone if they said, okay, Wendy, I'm going to pick you up at 8 p.m. and then they don't come? No, you're not going to trust them. So it's the same thing that we do to ourselves. Like, okay, I'm going to work out tomorrow. And we don't work out. So we don't trust ourselves. If you've ever read the 4 Agreements, one of them is have integrity with your word. And I think that's the most important thing you can do, is have integrity with your word, with yourself. So making a promise to yourself and keeping it. So are there any promises that you guys want to give some weight to and drop in the chat? Would creating stuff be included in stuff? Creating stuff. Yeah, if it comes from a place in your body, if you're like creating art and that feels like a really great way to like express what's going on. Yeah. So Brooke said her promise is to meditate more. Brooke, I would offer you to make this a bit more measurable. So tomorrow, if you want to meditate tomorrow, how can you say like, yes, I absolutely did this? I would start really like one step, like one stepping stone. Instead of having it be anything lofty, I want it to be one promise that you're like, check, yes, I did that. So maybe it's tomorrow I meditate for 5 minutes. If that's something that feels authentic to you. I would also say, make sure that these are not shoulds. Make sure that there's something that your soul really wants. Okay, we have some more. Go for a study walk 3 times a week. Great. Take my vitamins daily. Tomorrow I will meditate for 15 minutes. Brooke, that's perfect. I love it. Movement every day, 10-minute minimum, can be a walk or a quick workout. Okay. I would give yourself a little bit of flexibility. I don't want you to say every day. I never really want us to say that, because things are going to happen. Like there's going to be a day that you get sick. Get a cold. There's going to be a day that you're traveling. There's going to be a day that you have to pick the dog up from the vet. There's going to be things. So when we're first starting, we have to give ourselves that wiggle room and give ourselves flexibility. So maybe it's, 3 to 4 times a week, 5 to 7 times a week. So that we're, if we miss one day, it's like, okay, still reach my goal. 5 minutes of yoga and meditation every morning. Same thing goes. Maybe it's 5 to 7 days a week, just to give yourself, some grace, some flexibility. Save $100 every paycheck. Great. That's super measurable. That you could check off and be like, yes, I did that. Movement 5 times a week. Great. Okay. These are fabulous. So the thing, and keep writing them and keep giving them weight and write them in your notebook. So the thing with all of these steps, right, is that they need to be repeated. Like I mentioned, repetition is key. Repetition is how we literally change our brain, how we strengthen neural pathways, how we build connections, how we let our bodies know that they're safe to express themselves, how we change our thought patterns. You've ever heard neurons that fire together, wire together? It was drilled into my head when I was getting my degree in psychology. Because there's facts to it. There's science behind it. There's research behind it. Repetition is key here to changing our behaviors and to changing our thoughts. Repetition leads to embodiment. The more that we do it, the more that it becomes part of us and who we are, rather than something that we just do. And then embodiment ultimately leads to freedom. And all of this happens way faster when we're in the energy of other people doing it too. So I would offer you to continue this, to do that morning practice of looking at yourself in the mirror as often as you can, to continue to build these promises. After you've checked one off, what's the next one you can make? And all this comes down to self-trust and why it's so important, because if you can't trust yourself, first of all, who can you trust, truly? And secondly, why would anyone else trust you if you don't trust you? And that means, why would a partner trust you? Why would someone in your career trust you? So self-trust runs deep. It affects every aspect of our lives. Job, movement, the way that we eat, the way that we interact, our relationships. But by following these steps and following this pathway, anxiety goes away. Our intuition strengthens. Being by ourselves becomes less scary, because who wants to be alone with someone they don't trust? So if you feel discomfort around being alone, and I think by now in 2020, we're like kind of more comfortable with that. But if you are fearful of being alone, ask yourself why. Maybe it's because you don't trust yourself. So we don't want to be alone with someone that we don't trust. But when you trust yourself, solitude actually becomes really healing. So part 2 of this pathway would then be to notice what comes up. What comes up from this place? Now that we've built our self-trust, what happens? What are these pings that we're getting? I talk a lot about pings. We built this foundation, and now we can start to hear the pings, and then we can start to act on them. We can start to stand in our power without indecision, without anxiety. Really take aligned action, turning indecision to making decisions with ease and with confidence, and turning procrastination into action, and turning self-doubt to self-trust, and being scared of change to trusting the process. Less anxiety, more calm, more ease, less conflict, more communication. The thoughts that we tell ourselves, that we repeat subconsciously, like, I'm not enough, however that might be spiraling in your head, turns to, I am in love. Like, I'm in it. I'm in love. I'm whole. I am a harmonious being. Or thinking you're not deserving of something turns into, I know I'm worthy. I trust what's going on. Fear. So maybe if one of yours, this was a big one of mine, like, I'm scared. I'm afraid, whatever it might be. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of showing up imperfect. Turns to, I'm empowered. Feeling like I am anxious. Anxiety runs my life. I am an anxious person. That goes away because you become your own guide, and you trust that guide fully. Become more present. You become more mindful. So I want to check in and hear what's coming up for you guys. How are you feeling about this pathway? Are you feeling like you're ready to rock it? Are you feeling like there's a shift happening internally that you're like, oh my God, yes, I'm down. I am ready to trust myself. This is resonating. I'm with you. Feels good for me. Yay, Jackie. Who else? What else? Check in. Love it. Yay. Yes. Okay. So, woo! Definite shift. Never connected to all this. Yeah. Let's do this. Yes. Okay, cool. So the point of this workshop on this day, like I mentioned earlier, was that there's a massive fucking shift externally. And now we're making it internal too. So we're taking ownership. You're taking ownership, like I mentioned earlier. You're becoming the hero of your life. As corny as that sounds, I don't care. That's what's happening. You showed up. You said yes. You're here. You're doing it. You're going to take the action. You're going to strengthen this muscle, strengthen the connection with yourself. And you can fully do this. If I could freaking do this, you could do this. Like, you came here for a reason. You came here because you're interested in your growth. You already took aligned action by signing up and by showing up live and watching this. Yeah. Just reading some of the individual messages. Yeah. So you came here. You came here for a reason, to be here, to expand, to learn, to grow. to reclaim your power right now in this moment. So I want you to take a second. I want you to close your eyes again. Close your eyes and notice the shift inside of you. How it feels. If it feels different from when you initially closed your eyes at the very beginning of this. And I want you to envision yourself 3 months from now. End of March. Gone into the new year. We're in 2021. How does that feel? Knowing that you've built this muscle, you've strengthened this connection. Sit with that feeling. Think about what you're wearing, where you are, who's around. How does it feel? Take a few breaths here. Do you feel proud? Do you feel supported, confident, trusting, empowered, strong, excited, passionate, open, safe? I know times are kind of tough right now, and you'd rather be in love. You're a diamond in the rough. Love yourself. Take a few more breaths here. Connecting the you that you are right now in this moment with that same you 3 months from now. Being in your power. Embodying it fully, trusting yourself. Love yourself, know your worth, you're enough right now. Take one more breath here. And go ahead and open your eyes. So from this place right now, in this present moment, to get you to that you, the you 3 months from now, that feels empowered, that feels excited, that feels trusting, you have 2 options that I can offer you, basically. So option 1 would be to do this, to put it into practice, to show up for yourself. So I got this pathway and implement it and go at it, do it alone, rock it. Option 2 would be to join a community where this is the norm, where people are up-leveling, where people are shifting, where people are expanding, where you're learning the part 2. You're learning how to follow those pings, how to take aligned action to really create harmony in your mind and your body, to trust yourself fully and completely and effortlessly and authentically, feeling completely supported in doing that, completely guided right through it, so that this is not something that you're doing, but it's who you are. So option 2 that I can offer you is Bloom, which is a 10-week community coaching container for you to rise into this, to rise into that empowered leader of your life, to stand in it, to stand in your authenticity, to be in this alignment and to be completely supported doing so. Bloom is where you're going to be given the tools to put the power directly into your hands. I will be giving it to you so that you have it, so that we don't work together forever, but you're like, I have these tools in my toolkit and I'm good. It's also the personalized guidance to create the changes that you've been wanting to see in yourself, that you showed up here because you were feeling like, I need a little bit more. I want to make certain changes. And then also having the accountability so that those changes take root and they take hold. and the support to take you right through the finish line. So that, again, this is not something that you're just doing for a few days. This is who you are. You are showing up as this person. You are embodied. You are in it. And frankly, there cannot be a more aligned day to be doing this. Like, I am so pumped that I can offer this to you on this day of massive alignment, to offer you all these things that are aligned with the meeting of Saturn and Jupiter, or whatever that means to you, the summer solstice, the beginning of a new year, community, power, self-expression, trust, all of these themes are encompassed in Bloom. So I'm going to drop it in the chat for you to look through. My pleasure, you guys who happen to pop off. So I want you to step into it, whatever this means for you, whether it's option 1 and that's what your gut is saying and you're like, okay, I'm going to rock this on my own, or if it's option 2, I want you to commit to yourself either way. That's why you're here, to build your self-trust, to take that aligned action, to do step 4, committing and changing your behavior, to stop waiting for the perfect job, the perfect time, the perfect department, when the world is back together. There is no perfect time. There never will be. Like, there will never be anything that's perfect. So what's perfect is taking aligned action, and that feels most authentic to you, and meeting yourself here, right? You came here to receive and to be present and meet yourself where you're at. So take that aligned action whenever that is for you. Strengthen that muscle, make that commitment, change that behavior, and say yes to yourself. And what better way, what better day to do that than today? So I want to open it up. I want to open it up to any questions that you guys have, anything that you want to talk through, anything that you want clarity. I have nothing after this, so I can sit here and talk to you for a while. If there's anything coming up, if you want to get off speaker, if you want to write it in the chat. Yeah, actually, my pleasure. Yay. Any cues? Fanny, I saw you come off mute.
I mean, nothing right. I mean, I would maybe like have more information on the Bloom thing.
Yeah,
but,
I can. Yeah, so Bloom is 10 weeks. We're starting in January. It's going to be, do you want more logistics? Me to share more with you?
Yeah, like a overall, logistics and what does it entail? Let's say.
Yeah. So Bloom is 10 weeks of community support. It's a special container that we are going to be co-creating, that I'm going to be giving you guest experts, and I'm going to be giving you tools and exercises and resources to guide you through to becoming this, to be empowered to stand in the feeling that you got today on a regular basis. And if you have to hop off, my pleasure. Thank you for coming. And I chatted you the exact link, and I can put it in the chat again to take a peek. And that outlines everything in there. Wendy, did you have a question? So you come off mute for a sec.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for doing this. This was good. And then I copied the link, so I'm gonna go later on and kind of read it on my own pace. But thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
For
Bye, everyone.
Good night. Any other questions about anything that I can answer, whether it be about these action steps or about how to make this feel good for anything that you have specifically going on? I'm happy to answer.
Like right now, to be honest, it's really like I'm in the middle of different things.
Yeah.
So like work-wise, visa-wise, relationship-wise, everything-wise. So it's hard to pause and make the time for it.
Yeah.
So it's
make the time for showing up for yourself.
Yes, that's the. I mean, it's easy for me to work-wise. If I have to do stuff, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
No worries. I'm going to find the time to do it. If it's after dinner, during weekends, other weekends I stopped. But if I have to show up for myself, that's a lot harder to find the time for it. It's always better to watch, something or go outside or do something else, basically. And so just sit. And for even journaling is like, it feels like too much to do. But I know I have to go through it. So that's the whole thing.
Do you find that it's easier to prioritize other people and other things before yourself?
Usually, yes.
Yeah. So maybe your commitment to yourself, your promise that you make to yourself, is to find one small chunk of time tonight or tomorrow to begin to find more and more time eventually. But maybe it's like, tonight I'm going to spend 1 minute sitting with myself, and build on from there. And that's my really quick answer for you in this, like, a group setting. But I think it comes down to, okay, where are my pockets of time? Because we have time. You have time. It's just about finding it and about taking action and using your time in a way that feels good rather than having it be led by a should. Because if you're being led by shoulds, it's not going to feel good. You're not going to want to do it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
My pleasure, Brooke.
I'm sorry. I'm taking the space because I see that there are other people on the line. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, for the other people, I don't know if they have anything.
Yeah, are there any other questions? And Fanny, if you do want to talk about it further, I'm going to send you a link as well.
Okay.
Any other questions I can answer? Whether you want to write them in as I plug in my laptop, go ahead and unmute yourself or write it in the chat. This was great. Thank you, Kelly. My pleasure. Thank you for coming, Miranda. Okay, great.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming and showing up for yourself. And Fanny, I will talk to you soon, I hope.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you for everything.
Bye.
Bye.